Good morning and welcome to Science Breakfast with me, Alan Hubbard, and a sign language interpreter this morning is Chubby Water. Now, we are going to be going through some of the stories that are making headlines in the country, and after which we're going to be going through the dailies, and of course, we'll be winding up with we'll be winding up with the weather and your morning quarter. And you can engage with us across all social media platforms. That is on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, formerly X, formerly Twitter, and Instagram as well. You can find us at Science TV Kenya, and you can utilize the numbers on your screen. You can SMS us or WhatsApp us, and we'll be glad to receive some of your feedback. Now, these are some of the stories that are making headlines in the country. And we started off with some political hit where should we start it? Let us start it off with Kasipul by-election aspirants Philip Aroko and Boyd Were fined 1 million for deadly clashes. And the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission has fined two Kasipul parliamentary by-election candidates 1 million each after they were held responsible for clashes between their supporters, which led to the death of two people. Now, IEBC Commissioner Alutalala Mkwana said that independent candidate Philip Aroko and ODM's Boyd Were breached the electoral code of conduct by flaunting the harmonized campaign schedule that led to the violence and loss of lives. Here, the full details to the story.
We are here to share with you our determination of this important matter which was brought before us. The matter that we'll share with you here involves Philip Aroko versus Boyd Were Ongondo. This is a matter that has been brought to us under reference IEBC/ECCEC/BA/01 of 2025. As you all know, the complainant, Mr. Philip Aroko, is a candidate vying for the Kasipul Member of National Assembly seat in the upcoming 27 November 2025 by-election. Similarly, Mr. Boyd Were Ongondo is a candidate on the ODM party contesting for the same seat. Mr. Philip Aroko is an independent candidate. Both candidates brought complaints to this committee alleging that each one of them had caused violence by his supporters, and that this violence had led to the death, destruction of property, and injury as it is in the public domain there. The committee consolidated both cases into one. The committee has had time and has gone through the entire process, and today we want to share with you our findings. Because of time, I'll not go through the entire judgment. Feel free, our media liaison officer will share with you the entire judgment if you wish to have. In our analysis and determination, we found that the complaint before us raised the following issues. Number one, whether there was a failure by Mr. Aroko or Mr. Were or by both to comply with the harmonized campaign schedule. Number two, if the answer to the first question above is in the affirmative, whether that failure occasioned the violence which erupted in Kasipul constituency.
Politics in Nyanza, now to politics in the mountain as a by-election showdown. Battle lines drawn as Ruto Gachagua face off in first political test. And the rest to determine the next political direction in Kenya is shaping up to be a battle royale, pitting the government machinery led by President William Ruto against the opposition brigade. The opposition brigade captained by the former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua. The November 27 by-election has already hit fever pitch with a grueling do-or-die contest expected in Mbeere North and Malava constituencies. This could be the first political acid test for President Ruto as his former deputy ahead of the 2027 general elections. Here are the full details to the story.
Hii tabia ya kujitangaza we mwenyewe ati sijui mimi ndiye mkubwa ya hii mlima. Nani alikuchagua mkubwa wa mlima? I am the senior most political leader in Mount Kenya region for the avoidance of doubt.
Wewe Kasongo kuja. Mimi niko hili hapa na watu ya Mbeere. Tuoneshe wewe kivumbi sasa. Bwana tuma mfanyikazi, wewe Kasongo kuja mwenyewe.
Hata sijui ametoka wapi, amekuja tu juzi. Mimi nimekuwa kwa siasa over 20 years. Tangu wakati wa Kibaki tukamalizana na Uhuru. Siku ile Uhuru amepelekwa Hague wakiwa na Ruto. Mimi nilikuwa na watetea huko. Sikuona huyo mtu.
Na hii Kasongo watu ya Mbeere wamekula pesa yake. Amenyolewa. Kasongo amenyolewa. Kasongo anyolewa sinyolewe. Kasongo anyolewa sinyolewe. Wewe soprano wewe. Wewe soprano wewe. Kwanza kitu ya kwanza wewe ni nominated deputy president. Ule mtu tunajua kama deputy president ya watu ni mtu anaitwa Rigiji hapa.
Madarasa yake ni ya mato. Sasa nimekuja kutusaidia nini? Amekuja kutuambia nini huyu jamaa?
Mnakubali uongo? Tunataka uongo ama maendeleo?
Tuamue hata wakileta pesa ngapi. Kwanza mkule hizo pesa. Kwa sababu ni zenu.
Sinoma. Wacha nione kula ya wamudende. I am not leaving here until the 28th of November.
Mimi Rigiji mtoto ya Maumau. Nitakaa hapa mpaka Karis atagaswe kama mjumbe wa Mbeere North.
Leo Mudhende achaguliwe. Niende bunge. Nitetee maendeleo.
Ni moto si moto. Ni baya si baya. Kwanza wanakunga tafadhali.
Nione tutamia William Ruto.
Dako aende bunge. Alete maendeleo. Sitima. Maji.
Kama ni maji, hata nyumba ya utongo pipe inaweza ingia mpate maji.
Wewe mheshimiwa Ruto, tulikutafutia kura, ukatanganya sisi na sisi tukatanganya hawa wananchi. Ukasema kwamba utasaidia watu wa chini ukipeleka juu.
And away from those political conversations, now to another developing story here as Mudavadi denies claims of the first family benefiting from Saudi labor exports. And Foreign Affairs Cabinet Secretary Musalia Mudavadi has defended the first family against accusations of profiting from the government's program of exporting domestic workers seeking employment in Saudi Arabia. Appearing before the National Assembly Wednesday, CS Mudavadi was questioned on a New York Times report that fingered government officials and even the first family for profiting from the mass export of domestic workers to Saudi Arabia, where they are subjected to inhumane conditions. Now, the report alleged that President William Ruto's family is among the largest shareholders of the staffing industry's major insurance company that sends cheap labor abroad. And in his response, Mudavadi denied the claims, stating that no single insurance company can be granted the monopoly to handle Kenyans seeking jobs abroad. Here are the full details to the story.
The Kenya High Commission, with the support from Sky Schools, conducted visits to government hospital mortuaries in Dar es Salaam to trace and identify the remains of Mr. Ogutu. However, these efforts have so far been unsuccessful. Through the High Commission, all but 2 of the detained Kenyans have since been released. The remaining 2 individuals are Mr. Samuel Kagila and Stephen Dungu Kimani, who are currently held at Arusha Central Police Station.
And we saw those Kenyans saying that their release came when the former president of this country, Uhuru Kenyatta, intervened.
That the former president engaged the Ugandan government to release Kenyans from there. As who, Mr. Speaker? An ordinary citizen who was retired, Mr. Speaker, who was just doing his farming in Gatundu, Mr. Speaker.
We should all collectively move away from bordering on entering into xenophobia, where we start having unnecessary hostility against citizens of other friendly countries.
Could the Prime Cabinet Secretary clarify whether any senior government officials or their family members directly or indirectly own, control or benefit from recruitment, training or insurance companies involved in deploying Kenyan workers to the Gulf?
We do not engage in any human trafficking, neither does the president of this country or his government engage in any slave trading. That no single insurance company has a monopoly covering Kenyans seeking jobs in the Gulf or any other country.
Away from the Foreign Affairs Minister, now to Oburu, downplays division with ODM, maintains the party will remain in broad-based government. Now, the Orange Democratic Movement leader, Dr. Oburu Oginga, has warned those attempting to divide the party to wake up from the dream, saying he will not allow the party to split as the country heads to the 2027 general election. Dr. Oburu stated that ODM will only pursue political alignments that strengthen it, adding that attempts to weaken the party will not succeed under his watch. And Migori Governor Ochilo Ayako said that people are busy fighting for seats rather than uniting ODM. Some are even chasing away our friends. Now, Oburu insisted that ODM joined the broad-based government not for personal gains, but to benefit its traditional support base, especially in the Nyanza region, and that the partnership remains intact. And away from ODM, now to 126 killings, 83 disappearances. Amnesty report reveals government used tech to suppress Gen Z protests. And a new Amnesty International report accuses the Kenya government of using technology to suppress protesters during the 2024-2025 Gen Z protests. Now, the report documents 128 killings, 82 enforced disappearances, and over 3,000 arbitrary arrests to the demonstrations against the finance bill. Amnesty International says authorities deployed online harassment, disinformation, and unlawful surveillance to silence vocal youth. Here are some of the details from this report.
Online harassment and smear campaigns became the core tools of the state to undermine the credibility and reach of government critics.
And let's be clear, it's not just that people's rights to privacy has been undermined, but many of the cases we've discussed are related to serious crimes.
Human rights defenders interviewed by Amnesty International believe that state surveillance was supported by Safaricom, one of Kenya's largest telecommunications companies, allowing clandestine police units to track activists involved in protests. In response to the allegations, Safaricom stated that it only shares customer data through lawful means for lawful purposes. They confirm that their systems are not designed to track live location of any subscriber.
The telco company has a responsibility to tell me that a request was made by a government department to either follow my, to basically access my call records or to follow me across the city by using my phone.
In April 2025, suspected state-sponsored trolls using the hashtag Toxic Activists campaign to target most notably Hanifa and Boniface after they gave an interview for BBC's Blood Parliament.
And these are the stories that are making headlines in the dailies, and we started off with the Daily Nation, and premises versus reality is a headlining story in the Daily Nation this morning. Scorecard, it's a mixed bag for President William Ruto. He makes his third State of the Nation address today. While his administration has scored some successes in agriculture, cost of living, economy, and infrastructure, the education and health sectors are still a big challenge. What's your plan, Mr. President? That is a story that you'll find on pages 4 and 5 of the Daily Nation this morning. Now, in healthcare, the promise was implement universal health coverage and ensure equitable access, reduce corruption, and improve efficiency. And current situation, SHA debt crisis stands at 76 billion, and Rufa hospitals owed 15 billion. Many have abandoned SHA, and healthcare remains expensive despite more registered health facilities. In the promise of reducing inflation and cost of living through improved food production, current situation, inflation fell to 2.7%, lowest in 17 years, and import dependency ratio dropped to 17.3%, showing improved local food production. As well, in finance and economy, the promise was stabilize the shilling and strengthen the economy and promote GDP growth and job creation. Current situation, shilling appreciated from 162 to 129 to the dollar, a 20% gain. GDP growth slowed to 4.7% in 2024 from 5.7% in 2023, and 782,000 new jobs created. Informal sector accounts for 90% of the jobs. And in education, the promise was resolve teacher shortages and stabilize universities, improve access and quality at all levels of learning. Now, current status, 76,000 teachers hired, 24,000 more to be hired. Universities increased from 70 to 72, but funding declined from 30 billion to 12.9 billion. HELB loans increased to 46.9 billion, but lecturer strikes disrupted the learning. And those are some of the things that the president will be speaking about in his State of the Nation address this morning. Now, why I had fears of a post-Raila family fallout, Oburu and ODM party leader Oburu Oginga has revealed he once cautioned his brother Raila Odinga about the risk of a bitter fallout within the larger Odinga family if they did not conclusively settle outstanding matters. That is a story that you'll find on page 10 of the Daily Nation. And confusion, pain as Kazi Maju scheme lands hundreds of youth in financial trouble. That is on page 2 and 3 of the Nation. And lastly, governors blame SHA funding gaps for death of 934 babies. That is a story that you'll find on page 14 of the Daily Nation. And the Standard is where we started off with. Now, real State of Nation. And Kenyans have spoken. They do not need another ritual of promise, promises. They need a State of the Nation that starts where life is actually lived, in the insecurity, the hunger, the shattered services, and the daily grind of 13 million households until leaders speak to that honest, painful baseline. Every grand vision remains just another speech drifting above a struggling nation, and going by past rhetoric, it could be another session of oratory full of sound and fury, signifying nothing. That is a story that you'll find on page 8 and 9 of the Daily Standard this morning. and some of the pains of Kenyans are pictured in the Standard this morning as the country prepares for State of the Nation address from the head of the state. That is what's making headlines in the dailies. When we come back, we're coming back with your weather and your morning quote. Keep it science.